and welcome to our music Oddcast. Today we're going to be talking about Bob Marley and the conspiracy theories surrounding his assassination attempts. My name is Kendra Johnson.
I'm Olivia Tatum.
Lindsay Shy.
And this is our music Oddcast.
Okay, Robert Nesta Marley was born on February 6th, 1945 in 9 Mile, St. Anne Parish, Jamaica. His father, Norval Marley, was 60 years old at the time, originally from Sussex, England.
It's a weird word.
Yeah. And his mother, Sedalia Booker, was 18 at the time, so that's a huge, weird age difference.
Wait, how old was his dad?
60.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's not like cradle robbing. That's like grandpa fucking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Very strange. His father provided support for his wife and son, but was frequently away and rarely saw them. His father passed away when he was 10 years old, and his mother eventually married Edward Booker and moved to the United States in Delaware. Bob and his friend Neville Livingston, which kept making me think of Neville Longbottom.
Totally.
Also called Bunny Wailer, started playing music together in middle school. Their parents moved in together in Trenchtown when Bob was 12, which is the shittiest thing that you can do with someone's best friend. Did you guys have any friends that did that? Like their parents got together and then it fucked up their friendship forever?
I don't think that they really fucked up their friendship though, because they ended up like jamming together. Like that's like what started his music stuff.
Yeah, it helped them. They ran with it, but I had some friends in middle school that happened to, and they were never friends after that.
Oh man, there was a girl that I went to high school with, and I remember her and her boyfriend like were dating and whatever, and then their parents got together. And so it was like really weird because she was like, okay, well now I'm like living with my boyfriend, and then like, they totally had to break up because then their parents ended up getting married. It was like this whole mess.
I think that happened on Teen Mom. Was she on Teen Mom?
I don't think so. Maybe. I mean, I never saw her again like after like halfway ththrough the school year.
I think like had a baby, and then like their parents got together and they ended up being like step siblings.
Oh no, she didn't have a baby with him.
That far.
No.
But yeah, they handled it really well. They share a sister together, which is kind of interesting. They started listening to R&B from the U.S. and new ska, which was a little bit slower than regular ska music. The boys eventually joined a vocal group together. Other members included Peter Tosh, Beverly Kelso, Junior Braithwaite, I probably butchered that, and Joe Higgs, who was already part of a successful vocal act called Higgs and Wilson. And that's when he learned to develop vocal harmonies and started playing guitar. In 1962, Bob recorded 4 songs under the name Bobby Martell. In 1963, with the addition of Cherry Smith, the group started calling themselves the Teenagers, later changing the name to the Wailing Rude Boys, then the Wailing Wailers, and eventually the
I like
Wailers.
the Wailing Rude Boys.
I do too.
Yeah. I just love the word rude boys anyway. Like I'm a big fan of ska, so it's like, yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I liked that one. But the Wailers is fine.
Totally.
Their single Simmer Down was extremely popular in Jamaica in 1964 and ended up selling 70,000 copies. By 66, the group was stripped down to Bob, Bunny Wailer, and Peter Tosh. In 66, Bob moved to Delaware briefly after marrying Rita Anderson and worked at a Chrysler plant and as a lab assistant at DuPont Labs. He was going under the alias Donald Marley at the time, which I thought was really strange.
It's weird.
Because Bob's a normal name anyway.
Totally.
He'd have to change that to Donald. He also doesn't look like a Donald at all.
No, because like I either have the duck or the president.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Donald Draper.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he's a good Donald.
Yeah. No, just kidding. Don Draper is awful, but
He's a trash person, but he's totally bangable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like went back and rewatched that show, and I'm just like, how?
Have you guys seen the episode of Black Mirror that he's in?
No.
Oh, it's so good. It's one of my favorite episodes, actually.
I liked him as like the crazy person in Baby Driver, because you think he's like the nice guy, and then you're just like, oh,
he can play a bad person really, really well.
Yeah, he's good at it.
Yeah.
Also plays a fuckboy really well in Bridesmaids.
Oh yeah.
when he just like very almost like looks like a doctor or something, like feeling her boob for like a lump or something. He's like trying to like get her all turned on. He's like, can Charlie so and so do this? Like, and she's like talking about another guy, and he's just like poking,
prodding her breast.
And Donald Marley, lab assistant.
Yes. Well, I couldn't
nice,
find what year he actually returned to Jamaica, but he was there by 1969. So after returning, he converted to Rastafari and began to grow dreadlocks.
Yep.
Which is funny that I saw that mentioned on like several different websites, which I thought was funny. Just, I know it fits with the religion, but it's just funny, like, oh, he started to grow dreadlocks in 1969.
Right.
Like, changing your hair is, like, a huge deal.
Well, it's also such an iconic look for him, though.
It was.
I mean, like, there wasn't really anyone that you would see with that hairstyle that was, like, prevalent in the media.
Yeah.
Aside from Bob Marley.
Yeah.
So.
It's an iconic
It makes
time.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. In 1969, the Wailers... I can't read my own notes. Worked with studio musician... Oh, the Beverly All-Stars, and recorded songs in the new reggae style, which was even slower. Mm-hmm. So they were like really slowing things down at this point. And they also included electric guitars and no more trumpets and sax, which you noticed in their early recordings.
Right. Kind of getting away from the whole ska thing and more into like the reggae.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys watched any videos of him performing, but he has the weirdest dance moves. They're not bad, but the weirdest dance moves I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to describe them. Really.
Like one of the things I was reading was like comparing him to like a crazed shaman.
I could see that.
Sounds
like,
accurate.
He was like
yeah.
doing some of these like little circles and strange things and his head down. I don't know. Just stood out to me. Okay, in 1972, Marley signed with CBS Records in London and toured the UK with soul singer Johnny Nash. In 1973, Eric Clapton released a very successful cover of I Shot the Sheriff, which was mutually beneficial. Clapton hadn't had a hit in 2 years since the song Layla, and Marley, his song became a hit in the US and sort of gave him that first little bit of coverage.
Right.
He was given his residence on Hope Road by producer Chris Blackwell, and it was used as his home and personal office. And it seemed like a lot of people from that area, they would come and they'd ask him for money for food and groceries and medicine and different things. So it was kind of like an open door policy there where people nearby came in and out.
That's legit.
Yeah, there were a lot of people living there, different people at different times that he was working with, and people would come visit. I think even George Harrison came and visited for a while.
That's cool.
Yeah. So in 1974, the Wailers opened for Sly and the Family Stone for their U.S. tour.
This is funny.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, she was talking about this on the way
they got
out.
fired after like 4 dates because they were more popular than the people they were headlining for. Like, what a little bitch move.
Oh my God, I know. And just think how many people would have came to how many more people would have came to their shows if
Oh,
their
for
opening
sure.
band was really popular.
For sure. Like, but also like you have to think about it because it's like that's happened before. Like, there's
times.
that like thing like the year that punk broke with like Nirvana and Sonic Youth, and like they're all on tour, and that's when Smells Like Teen Spirit comes out, and Nirvana was like opening, and then by the end of the tour they were like the headliner because they had this like #1 hit.
Yeah. I think that it wouldn't matter, but yeah, I think they did act like bitches about it.
Totally.
Probably regretted it later too. Like,
Oh yeah. Like,
I'm
we
sure.
could have packed stadiums if we would have just not been little bitches.
right, and just played some of the best shows.
Yeah, totally.
So,
Ego.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Wailers then disbanded in 1974. So the members could pursue solo careers, and Bunny Wailer didn't really want to tour that far from home because he realized that they were getting more successful. So Bob continued recording as Bob Marley, and the Wailers. He had a new band, and it had tons of people in it.
Did it have his brothers in it too?
I didn't see that unless they had different names. Well, different last. Well, they would be because they.
Yeah,
there was,
I think it
you're
did
right.
because like that's, or at least that's what I read on Wikipedia.
I think that's probably the Carlton and Aston. Is it Bennett? Yeah,
That sounds right.
that's probably his brothers. Junior Marvin, Al Anderson, Tyrone Downey. I wrote Bowie the first time for some reason. I have no idea why.
He was there too.
Yeah, he was there.
In spirit.
Earl Lindo and Alvin Patterson. So a lot of people. It's always weird when they have tons of people on a stage performing.
Yeah.
I find it kind of distracting music-wise because, it kind of all drowns each other out. But they had, so many different people working on percussion, which works for that style of music.
Absolutely.
Right? So like 2 drummers and then a couple guys working on, different kinds of percussion.
I think it said that his brothers played bass and drums.
Okay.
So,
which is pretty cool. I remember when I saw Pavement, they had the drummer and then I don't know what you'd call it, an auxiliary percussionist.
Yeah.
Bongos.
Yeah, well, different stuff throughout the show. It's kind of cool though. It worked well with each other. Okay, in 1975, No Woman, No Cry gave him his international breakthrough.
Mm-hmm. It's a good song.
Yes. And kind of cool about that, I read that he actually wrote the rights of that song. He listed the author of the song as Vincent Ford, who owned a local soup kitchen. So he got the royalties for the song and kept the soup kitchen open.
That's legit.
Yeah, which is crazy.
I also think
really
it's kind of funny that there's a song called No Woman, No Cry, but his wife is the one that does the backing vocals for it.
Yeah.
So every time you hear a woman in the Bob Marley albums, it's his wife, Rita.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool.
I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
I thought it was neat when reading about them too. When they got married, she had 2 children from prior relationships, and he instantly adopted them. He said, just sounds like a great person. And then he had children with lots of women after,
And she had a child with another man too.
Oh, yeah. And it was just one big family.
And they
didn't
never
care.
divorced. They didn't give
Oh,
a
wow.
shit. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
well, whatever. You fucked that girl. I fucked this dude.
Yeah.
Let's raise the kids. Totally fine.
Whatever works.
Yeah.
It works
Yeah.
for some people.
Yeah.
So things were really heating up politically in Jamaica in 1976, and it started with the Prime Minister Michael Manley and Edward Seaga, who was opposing him at the time, of the Jamaica Labour Party. Looks like okay, and this is we're getting up to
Yeah.
the first assassination attempt. He planned to play at a free concert organized by the Prime Minister called Smile Jamaica, and he wanted to do it to try to, ease the tensions and try to promote peace, but people looked at it as him siding with Manley.
Well, another thing too is he had already said that he would play that concert, and then afterwards, then he was and then the election's gonna happen.
Yeah, they moved it up on purpose.
Yeah, they did, just to look like he was being backed by Bob Marley, even though that wasn't what necessary. I mean, I don't think he was against him or
He was
anything.
very, very neutral. He stayed, he didn't choose one side or the other publicly. So, yeah.
But they
did
kind of
use
forced that on him.
Yeah.
And is that I guess you're probably getting to it. Is that why all these the assassination attempt?
Well,
because they thought he was siding with.
We'll get
All
yeah.
right, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of different reasons why
different- yeah.
possibly he was assassinated. There was even talk about it being over a bet at one point over a soccer game. I saw that somewhere that there was a guy locally that owed money, and that could have been part of it. So there's there's so many theories, but
Interesting.
so let's see. Okay, 2 days before the concert, Bob, Rita, and his manager Don Taylor were all shot at his Hope Road residence.
And it sounds like his manager and wife got the brunt of it.
They did. They were seriously injured. She got
Yeah.
shot in the head. And
Oh my God.
He was shot several times in the back.
Yeah, and
And they
what
all
I kind of
survived.
gathered was it was he was trying to shield Bob Marley. So Bob Marley only got an injury, he got shot in the in the arm.
He had
and-
injury to his chest and
chest.
arm.
Yeah.
It sounded like he turned and it just kind of skimmed him.
so
Do they know
crazy.
who did that? Or-
No.
No idea.
No idea.
And if they do, every account that I read, it was he wouldn't snitch.
The weird thing about it, because it didn't sound like they did it really fast, because people were in the house and they were hiding when it happened, and it sounded like it took a little while for them to get in, shoot him, and get out. So you kind of wonder how serious they were about it. I mean, that guy was shot several times in the back, and she was shot in the head. So, I mean, that's huge, but usually, when you have several people shooting at people, you at least have one casualty. So
Another-
I don't know, maybe they weren't like super serious about it, but they were getting paid, so maybe they were, you know, like, oh, I'll make it look like I put a lot into it. But
So another weird thing about that is like Manley's, like they were supposed to be providing security for Bob Marley, and they weren't there
just that night.
just that night.
That's
And they
convenient.
came conveniently like an hour or so after it happened.
Really?
which is
So like
really
one
weird.
of the theories is that it was a setup by them to make it look like the opponent shot him. And then there's theories that like that Manley's opponent shot his people shot him. And then another theory was like he was helping a friend pay back a debt to some gangsters and missed a payment.
Is that what you're talking about? Like the soccer?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was like in the hole like a lot. So Bob Marley was like helping him make payments, and then there was a missed payment.
Yeah.
So then so there's
Which
like
would
all
support
these.
them not like really injuring him, because they're like, oh, if we kill him, he's not going to pay it back, but we'll scare the shit out of him.
Right. But he didn't really give details to the police and stuff.
Yeah.
Wow, this story has so many layers.
It does.
Right. And then another crazy thing is like one of the guys that was working on his tour and stuff and like working with him was the son of like a major like CIA dude. Yeah, and that's confirmed. And but like so like a lot of conspiracy theories are like, oh, was that the first like CIA attempt on him because he's like part of like all these like people's movements and stuff like that. But like people were assuming that Bob Marley didn't know that he was like associated with the CIA, but I think he did.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's kind of what I gathered. It was like this was under the assumption that like, you know, he wasn't aware that he was the son of a CIA dude. I don't remember what the exact thing was, but like, but it sounded like, he knew and it was fine. Like the guy's like, well, that's my dad's job. That's my job, whatever. So, but that's like the first like hint of like the weird CIA stuff.
Yeah. There was also a guy that was in the CIA that was in Jamaica, spotted in Jamaica the day before the shooting, which is really strange. You know, one of those things like, what are the odds? But they didn't give the guy's name. And I saw something online too, which you can't really put that much weight on these claims, but a guy on his deathbed claimed that
But that would go with the shoe theory.
The one
which
that,
is later.
I did read about that.
yeah.
The guy, his name was,
I don't remember what his
what is
name
it?
was.
I feel like his last name's started with
I have that. Well, but that's like later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
later.
right. Getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. So crazy.
So he still played the show with the band Zap Pow playing as backup because his band was kind of in hiding after that because they were all pretty scared.
I would be.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I wouldn't do that because you never know. I mean, people could just shoot at you on stage, come up and stab you. Bob left Jamaica in '76 and moved to England and spent the next 2 years in exile. And while in England, he recorded 2 albums, Exodus and Kaya, and was arrested in London for possession of marijuana.
That had to happen at some point.
Yeah. And everything that I read about him and his marijuana use, he claimed that he didn't use it to ever like get high, that it was just for medicinal purposes.
Yeah.
And then he used it to meditate. So I thought that was interesting.
Oh, and he like
Yeah,
talks about like
that's
how it like helped him like grow in his spiritualism and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. I can
He
see that.
said that, you know, whenever he would use it, he would like really think about his life and where he wanted to go and what he wanted to do, which
I wish that happened to me when I smoked weed.
get really paranoid.
Yeah. I get paranoid and throw stuff at Kendra.
Oh my god.
I just went ahead and went there. It's fine. I'm not even embarrassed anymore.
No, just gonna talk about this for a second because it's really funny. Back in like college
was, like,
age
19,
days, like a
yeah.
long time ago, I had this water bong, and made Lindsay take a bong rip, and which was like way too much for someone that doesn't ever
Yeah.
smoke. She was like next level, like freaking out. And so I was like making her watch all these like dumb videos about people like losing their shit.
Oh yeah, you guys were all laughing at me because you
Well,
made me
she
watch
kept she was like talking about like calling like an ambulance because she thought she was dying, and like really funny.
I was dying.
You weren't, but it was really funny. And I was like ripped, so I just kept on laughing, and she's getting so pissed. And I was like, here, take this water. And then I think I laughed at her, and she just threw this glass of water at my head. It was awesome. It didn't break or anything, but I was like, holy shit.
Now that you retell it, I do feel bad. I'm
It's hilarious.
Because that's so not like.
I know that.
I just don't do that. Like,
I know
that's not me.
It was an isolated incident, but I think that's what makes it like kind of legendary and so funny, because it's like I've never seen her be like that aggro. Yeah. And like the fact that it's directed at her bestie is like totally fine. You know what I mean? It was hilarious.
The only thing that could.
And I'm a dick because I could not stop laughing.
Oh, you were super.
I was like, I was being a total dick. It was hilarious.
And I remember like the only thing that would calm me down for a little bit is I would like go into your bathroom and I would just like sit on the toilet, and I would like, you had all your like fancy like hair products. I would just sit there and like read the shampoo bottles, and that made me feel okay for like 5 or 10 minutes. And then I'd come back out and she'd be like, let's watch Indiana Jones. Ooh, you must be hungry. You must have the munchies. Have some popcorn. I'm like, no.
Sorry.
Oh, no,
back to the story.
Okay, in 1978, Bob returned to Jamaica to perform at the One Love Peace concert, once again attempting to calm political tensions at the time. In 1979, he released the album Survival, and that was actually his most political album. He showed his support for the struggles of Africans and his strong opposition to the South African apartheid. His last studio album was released in 1980, and that was last, that he fully recorded in the studio. And his very last album was released after his death in 1983, and that was kind of pieced together by people afterwards. So in 1977, he was diagnosed with a malignant melanoma under the nail of his toe. And he chose not to amputate the toe because he didn't want it to affect his tour schedule. And
he had it removed and like had a skin graft and stuff instead.
Yeah, he had the nail and the nail bed removed.
Mm-hmm. That's such a weird. I've never heard of anybody having.
I have heard about.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it seems like, when they do, like when you go to the doctor and they do your mole checks and stuff, it's like who's like.
Well, I guess it shows up as like a dark spot under your nail.
Really?
Kind of like if you bruise it.
And also, that's like never really exposed to the sun and stuff.
Well,
right, which is weird.
But like, not all cancer is from sun damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, so with that too, so his toe thing, like, there's like theories about that even before this new conspiracy theory came out, and that would be that like he injured it from like playing soccer or whatever, because like he was like a diehard football fan, like diehard. So like, and he even like is quoted saying that like, if you actually want to get to know me, then you have to play against me and the Whalers, because that's what we do. Like, they would just always play together. So super cool.
Yeah.
But it was obviously from him already having cancer there for that part. So then like, this is where the other conspiracy theory comes in, because eventually that cancer spread and ended up becoming brain cancer and in his lungs, and he passed away about 5 years after his initial cancer.
Wow.
Which is really sad. So here's the new conspiracy. It basically came out from a clickbait site.
Always a reliable source.
I know, right? So, but it's like hilarious because it's like this whole thing, and like even Snopes has like a big thing on it.
Yeah, I did read that one.
Yeah, so it's like, it's fascinating because like none of it has any like sources, and like they've even like looked into like whether this guy has ever even been in the CIA. So apparently this CIA agent confessed on his deathbed that he put a copper wire with like melanoma in Bob Marley's shoe. And so when he put on his shoe, that's what injured him like under the nail bed and created the melanoma. Yeah. So then obviously I'm like, well, like, can you even fucking do that? Right. So then I got like kind of like low key obsessed with it. And
he was like, I gifted him a brand new pair of Chuck Taylors. Like, oh, how nice of you.
Right.
How sweet.
So then I was like researching that. And like, okay, so then like the CIA did have a file on Bob Marley. So like that is legitimate because he was a big supporter of Manly. But like the whole thing, like that concert and stuff that he had been the attempt on his life before that. That was not a nonpartisan. Like it was a very like, let's all just unite and like seize this tension type of effort. So they did classify him as like somebody to watch. So they did have a file on him, but this is like so many years after that.
Yeah.
Which is what makes it so weird. So I was researching, and Hugo Chavez, like, he died of a heart attack after battling cancer, and he was the former Venezuelan president, and he was convinced that the United States had given him cancer. And so I was like, was that even like a thing? And so I found this article, and it was like talking to this woman that like works with canines and cancer, because they're like one of the only species that has transferable cancer through like bites or fornication.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And there's two different kinds of cancers, and like they're the tumor type that can be transferred through those means with dogs. And so like the whole article was like being like, oh, well, you can't really do that with humans. But then like later on in the article, and this is like from Scientific American, like magazine, like it's so like they do have their sources and everything. And it's like an interview with a legitimate doctor. Like there were cases where like mothers can pass on cancer to their fetus, and it's typically with melanoma. And then melanoma is also like the only one that's like recorded like that. The surgeon was like removing melanoma and doing a surgical procedure on somebody, and then accidentally cut themselves with the scalpel and ended up getting it on their finger where they had cut. They ended up getting cancer.
Weird.
Wow.
Right. So, but like the whole point of that is like, just like an organ transplant, like unless you're like so closely matched, there's just no way that it will ever take. Just like how like your body will reject a new organ or whatever unless you're like a good match.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with cancer. So like the likelihood is like 1 in a million.
Yeah.
Of that even being possible for that. But it's not necessarily impossible, is what I found with this research.
Is that
I
like
was
the
like,
only documented case of that happening?
I'm not positive about that, but that's the only one that was listed in the article. But the crazy thing is like I went into this reading like thinking like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't give somebody cancer. Like that's totally like ridiculous. And then like this article, I'm like, holy shit. You kind of could theoretically, but like the likelihood of it, like the body accepting it is like so slim because like your body, like all of your white blood cells and like everything is set to attack that foreign invader.
Yeah.
And like everybody gets cancer like tons of times in their lifetime, and your body just kills it, you know? And so like the idea of it not doing that is like, she was basically saying like, it's not impossible, but it's like almost impossible. So fascinating.
Just another thing for everybody to worry about.
But they didn't, they don't have any proof that this guy was ever in the CIA or that he like, and like I said, like the whole thing with them trying to, like the whole shooting thing happened like what, in the 70s?
Yeah.
And that would be like the early 70s, I believe.
It was, isn't it? Let's see.
But then like he died in what, 1981?
81, yeah.
Yeah.
And so this would have been like the later part of the 70s.
76
Yeah.
is when that happened. Because I know we were talking about the length of time between, you know, the copper wire alleged incident. And
Right, which I like has like basically it's been officially debunked. Like that it's not.
The weird thing is I watched this, it was like a 2-hour-long special on Steve Jobs' cancer. And because this mathematician actually, he took the size of his tumor and he figured out at what age he got the cancer and how it grew. Because sometimes it's fast growing, sometimes it's slow. And he actually had like a slow growing cancer, and the tumor was big enough by the time they found it. They figured that like no treatment that he would have done done anything. The surgery that they gave Steve Jobs shortened his life because his body could no longer fight the cancer as it had been, because he was like a strict vegetarian and did a lot of things.
I remember reading like toward the end, he just like was doing like natural treatments.
Well, and that's kind of what Bob Marley was doing too.
Yeah, he was.
Like he altered his diet.
Yeah, and he was
stuff
treated
like that.
at a clinic in Bavaria that strictly did that, because I've watched a lot of YouTube stuff about people that have beat different illnesses like MS and all sorts of autoimmune diseases by juicing or by, just eliminating so many things from their diets. And, it's still kind of, you don't know if it really does work or not. Right. But the idea kind of works, because you're taking out, like,
but does it work? But that's an autoimmune disease. Like that's not cancer.
Right. But people do treat cancers that way too.
Right.
And the whole, like, but the juicing alone, the whole theory is like your body doesn't have to work to digest any food. So, and you're just flooding it with nutrients. So it's using all of that extra energy to fight your cancer. So there's that. But then, the elimination diets too, like you're just not giving your body anything else that's going to contribute to that or weaken it.
Right.
So
and from what I was reading, it was like saying like that his treatments like did nothing. Like they didn't help at all.
It was way too late.
Yeah.
Actually, with both of them, Steve Jobs and by the time they started doing anything, it was, they were done for at that point, which is really sad. But yeah, after it was, it spread to his, because think about it, from like his toe all the way to his brain and lungs at that point, is probably,
insane.
attached to all kinds of organs and.
Right. And he was like touring through like all of that.
He was. And sad, but he wanted to make it home to Jamaica before he died, and he never made it home. He made it as far as Miami, and then.
Yeah, I had to land and like go to the hospital, and that's where he died.
Yeah.
In Miami. And like there's a quote like him saying to his son Ziggy Marley, he's like, yeah, like money can't buy you life.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, that's deep.
Yeah.
Like, and also just sad. I mean, he was like, what,
So
36
sad.
years old?
36.
Yeah. 'Cause
This one really depressed me because he, was just such like a kind, nice, peaceful person. Didn't seem to bother anybody. His music was positive. He just wanted to help people.
And he did have like political stances and stuff like that, but like overall, like he just wanted peace.
Yeah.
And like his political stances were more like about like uniting people and like uniting like African culture and like just all of that. Like it's interesting. Seemed like a legit dude.
Yeah.
I grew up like listening to him, which is kind of funny because like my dad definitely doesn't smoke weed.
Yeah.
never once.
Well, he was in Vietnam, but even still, like I think he saw like too many people like get fucked up and then just like get killed because they were like too high. So he's just like not a fan of it.
Yeah.
But with diehard Bob Marley fan, and then we even had a German exchange student, and he was a diehard Bob Marley fan too. So like him and my dad would just like listen to it all the time.
That's cool.
It was fun.
I never listened to a lot of him.
I
heard
really?
stuff.
We were listening to him on the way over here, and I was just like, I have never heard most of these songs in my life.
They're so
like,
good.
It's just never like
They really are. It's just funny because I remember like being like a little kid, like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And like I knew that my parents were like having a party if like Bob Marley was playing, and it was always that I shot the sheriff. Like yeah, and totally obsessed. Like I think that it might still be on their party rotation list. Like it's funny. Like
They still, they hold up. I think a lot of them are played at weddings and stuff too.
and he's like one of the highest selling recording artists. Like it's insane how many records have been sold. Yeah.
like everywhere you go, just like mall stores and stuff, there's always like so much Bob Marley merchandise.
Well, and then there's like the whole like stoner culture. Like, that's just like
they love it.
Like that great poster of him just like smoking that joint. Yeah.
Yeah, like how many like.
And he's an
little,
attractive dude too.
Oh, very.
Yeah.
Yeah, that poster's hanging out in like every like
High school.
stoner,
Like, man,
stoner bedroom.
yeah, like back in the early '80s, like every kid with like baggy pants had that poster in their room. So funny. I wonder how many of them actually listen to Bob Marley though.
I know.
It's more of like the aesthetic. I remember having like. Ashamed to be like, I did have dreadlocks in beauty school, which I'm not ashamed because dreadlocks are cool, but like I'm white, so Yeah.
It's really
It was
weird,
before the
like-
whole discussion of cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
But, it was a very limited time thing, but it's still funny.
And they were
White
just
people,
underneath. It wasn't
yeah.
your whole head.
Oh, yeah. I had like the top half of my hair was like curly and like bleach blonde, and the bottom half was like these black dreads. And so it was like, I like to call it the poof turd because like the dreads just kind of looked like turds because, like I said, I'm Caucasian. So
It's really weird. Like I don't know if you guys have ever like run into this, but like just on like social media and stuff, people that are usually really like, like super understanding of like different, like they try to be woke about everything. But then like when it comes to like dreadlocks, they get super defensive. They're like, it's just a hairstyle. I don't understand why this is like, and I'm like, it's like this one thing. It's like their hill to die on. I don't know. It's weird.
I think it's funny though, because it's like you have to work really freaking hard to get white people's hair to dread.
Yeah.
Whereas like with African American hair or African hair, whatever, black hair, it's so easy to dread. Like I've done like touch-ups on black people's like dreadlocks and stuff like that, and it's so simple and like very like just it's such a natural thing.
Yeah.
And then like on white people, like oh my god, no, it's like such a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Like I have no desire. Yeah.
Funny thing, my underneath hair is like 10 times curlier than the top, and if I don't braid it when I go to sleep, I'll wake up and it will actually be in like these little dread knots.
Well, that's why
I have to like sit there and comb it out forever.
Yeah, that's why I dreaded my hair.
Yeah.
It was because I was like, well, it just wants to do it anyway. And then I'm like, oh no. It was like so much more work to not make, it looked bad, but it took a lot of effort to not make it look worse. Like
Yeah.
it was really bad.
Did you have to shave them off, or did you
No.
were you able to comb them out?
I'm like really fortunate. Like,
Didn't you have like 5 people working on it at
Oh,
school
yeah.
one day? Like it was an all-day project.
yeah, it was hilarious. Like, I had a
oh,
lot
I
of
need
black
some more
friends
style
in
credits.
beauty school, and they were all like helping me comb this shit out. And like, it was so funny. They're like, "Are you mixed?" I'm like,
what
and
have
I'm
you
like
done to
so
yourself?
pale. I'm like, no, it's just my hair's crazy. It was really funny.
I remember wanting them for a little while because Ani DeFranco, I liked
yeah,
her a lot,
yeah.
and she had them, and I thought she was awesome. But now I'm like, oh my god, so many tragic phases though. I felt like I went through.
I probably wanted them for a little bit, but I think I used to just do like the like just the little tiny braids.
twisted.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
little tiny like twisty
Yeah.
braids. I'm like, this is close enough.
I was in a crust punk band at the time, so
Yeah.
it just kind of went with that. Like, I don't know, it was pretty funny.
What was your like most like tragic phase or like hairstyle or clothing style or whatever?
I remember in high school, that band Mindless Self-Indulgence.
Oh yeah, I remember that band.
Yeah, I had
They opened for Korn here, didn't they? Like at the Coliseum.
I didn't go to that concert, but I definitely liked that band, and I wore like the giant like pink pants from Hot Topic for like a solid 6 months, and then I was like, oh, I actually like punk rock more, and then it was like. I think I just like never stopped with that phase. Like
Yeah.
I'm still in that phase. What about you?
Oh God, I have a lot. I had like my like goth phase where I wanted to dye my hair purple, but my mom just let me get that that box dye that you would always get when you couldn't have like a crazy color that was like kind of a burgundy
Yeah.
like did that. I think that was the first time I like really dyed my hair, and but for some reason I always wore it in that like early 2000s kind of flipped out thing. It was like Rachel Lee Cook and Josie and the Pussycats. Like I
Yeah.
liked
Yeah.
that hair, but I wanted to be like more goth also, so it was just kind of a weird like aesthetic. And I had like this t-shirt from Target with like a rhinestone bat on it. I was like, this is pretty goth.
Target goth.
I also like, I had a phase where I wanted to do like the Courtney Love, like the baby doll dresses and stuff and the little barrettes, but like it was like 2001, so it was like I had just missed it by like 5 or 6 years, and it hadn't really come back around to be like cool again.
Oh my god,
so
I
was
went through that
weirdo.
phase around that
Yeah.
same time too.
Yeah,
It was like I was wearing the family pants and I had like a million barrettes in my hair,
Yeah.
and like I had also tried to do a straightener in my hair, so it was just like limp and awkward. Oh my god, yeah, never forget. What about you, Olivia?
In middle school, I was obsessed with James Iha, and I, how he had like the bleach in front. Well, I did that to my hair, and it was just like this horrible orange color. And my hair at the time was like fucking terrible because it was, you know, products hadn't gotten a lot better. So it was just like this frizzy, like it was like past the mushroom stage, but not much. So it was like, it looked kind of like a dick.
Yes.
And yeah, just like terrible color. And I'd wear like you know how he had the kind of like 70s style, like collared shirts that.
Yeah, the kind of like polyester, like,
yeah. So I'd wear those all the time and big jeans because I think he,
That's
you know,
cool,
wore big
though.
jeans. Yeah.
Little baby female Jamesy. It's funny that you say that though, because when I was in middle school, another thing I did is I was obsessed with Darcy, and so like
she's
like
cool.
I made my mom helped me my mom had like a silver mini skirt from like the like early 90s, and she so I was like, oh, it's like the Bullet with Butterfly Wings video. So like she helped me, like I had like this like white like sheer shirt, and she helped me like sew fur on it. Like,
Oh my God, I think you showed me a picture of that. It's so great.
oh, I don't even know if I have a picture of that one actually, but it was really good. And then I had like little silver boots, and like, you know, it was pretty cute. At least I was like creative with it, you know, like like it looked pretty weird, but like
At least he tried, I guess. That's how I always think, like, oh, well, at least I, you know, wasn't, you know, too shy to like try something that I thought was cool.
yeah. And my mom was always like encouraging me to like be an individual and everything. Like she'd
Yeah.
help me with like, she's like, oh, you want goth eyeliner today? Okay, let's do this. Oh, you want like a see-through shirt with some fur on it? Let's do this. Like, you want to put awful like manic panic in your hair? I'll do it for you. Like, so yeah, no, she was always cool and like supportive of all my embarrassing shit.
Yeah.
Like, you weren't like embarrassed to be out in public with me. Like,
Oh my gosh, my mom was like so stoked when I finally started wearing color again. She's like, it's like you're going to a funeral.
I remember my mom let me, I had an eyebrow ring. In
Oh shit.
High school.
Like Godsmack. I'm just kidding.
I thought well, the funny thing is I got it because I was obsessed with the band Silverchair. for a
Oh
long
yeah.
time.
oh
Yep.
yeah.
And I kind of had hair like the singer. So I was like, oh, cool. I guess I always wanted to dress like guys. But yeah, I had the eyebrow ring, and she was pretty cool about that. And my mom was also like really cool about letting me color my hair like any way I wanted to, or like chopping it off. Or
Yeah, this is like the first time in my life that I don't have any color on my hair. Well, not the first time in my life, but my first time since like age like 12.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
it's
know,
weird.
My hair is currently pink.
It's a
but if
beautiful
I
mauve.
worked in a salon setting, I would, you know, probably
yeah.
do that all the time. I'd be too tempted. Or I just like cut it all the time.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I went through that for a while for sure, but now I'm just like, I'm so lazy. I'm just like, I'm after doing other people's hair all day.
Yeah.
Like the last
No
thing you want to
one's
do is
yours.
like fuck with your own. You're just like, no.
That's what's nice about having a cool color though, because it's like,
Yeah.
all right, well, even if I
Yeah,
don't do
it's like
anything
I don't have
it,
to
it
do
still
much
looks-
effort.
Yeah,
And I like having light pink hair because my hair is curly, so it's like cotton candy
It
when
suits
it's curly.
you. Like it brings out all like the nice colors in your, like peachy
Yeah.
tones in your.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't even like pink that much. Like
Yeah.
as a color, it's like low on the list of things I actually enjoy looking at. But it just looks like a natural hair color on me, so I'm just going with it.
Yeah.
it's born this way.
I was born this way. I'm a natural pink head. All right.
Yeah. I have a little bit more about the first attempt. Just, you know, I know we talked about it a lot, but I guess a few things that I just wanted to mention. Part of the reason that they thought the U.S. CIA had, you know, involvement in that was because they were afraid of Manley had put out support of the Cuban government, and they were afraid that that communism was going to spread, and that's why they chose, and they thought Marley was siding with him, so that's why they, you know.
And he was a vocal supporter of him before that concert.
Also, one thing that I thought was kind of funny, the other guy, Siaga, he had a group. It was gangsters locally at the time that supported him, but I thought it was funny because their name was the Shower Posse, which is like the least intimidating name for like a gang.
Oh my
or a
God,
group
I
of
love
gangsters.
that.
Yeah.
That's such a great name.
Shank you in the shower. Just open the curtain. You're like,
Didn't believe it. I was like, oh, the Wikipedia page is wrong. So I kept looking on all these sites, and I'm like, nope, it really is
The Shower Posse.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's like such a good band name.
Yeah, that's true. Luckily, they feel
Bob Marley and the Shower Posse.
I feel like it'd be really tragic to say, like, oh, I was killed by the shower posse.
posse.
You know what I mean?
It's like cause of death, the shower posse.
That would be so tragic.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But yeah, that's all that I really have about that. Oh, but they also, the shower posse, they smuggled guns and drugs into Jamaica and the U.S. at that time with the support of the CIA, the U.S. CIA.
Interesting.
Yeah, crazy. So,
Shower Posse.
I know.
Drugs in the shower posse. It's like, is it because they shower you with bullets? Like, I don't know.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually...
But I don't
But maybe
think
they were
that
just like clean gangsters.
we believe in personal hygiene.
Yes.
Now we're going to murder you.
Yeah. Well, you know, like you always...
I don't
feel
really associate drugs with personal hygiene, though.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. I just feel like, you know how like whenever you're like home alone scared or whatever, everybody always like looks behind the shower curtain to make sure
Yes.
nobody's there. So it's like maybe they're like trying to kind of conjure up like your worst nightmare. Like
Maybe.
you open the shower and it's,
Had
like,
Psycho come out yet?
Oh yeah, that was in like the... When was that?
I don't
Wasn't
know
that like the late
exactly.
60s?
Oh, it might have been.
So, let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always think that movie is a lot older than it actually is.
Well, fascinating info about Psycho is the first movie that ever showed a toilet.
A toilet. Yes, I did know
That's
that.
funny.
Yeah. Learned that at trivia one night. And I told you, I was like, it's got to be Psycho,
1960.
right? 1960.
Okay.
Okay, so it was out. Yeah. Learn something new every day.
It's funny though, you do have sort of that irrational fear of someone hiding in your shower.
Yeah.
I had this
It's
whole
like the
thing.
first place you check if
Yeah,
you're like
you do.
scared.
I always do, or like under the bed. I had this total weird irrational fear of like a homeless man living in the attic of my garage or just in my garage, which did happen. I read
I've
this
read,
story.
yeah, that
to me
happens.
too.
Like somebody's just like living in the attic, and there was like a YouTube video because somebody'd like set up a camera because they heard all these noises, and like
Yeah.
dude would just like come down, or maybe it was a lady, just like came down from the attic and like took food in the night, and then just like went back up there and lived there like for a really long time.
That's insane.
Before they got
Yeah.
caught. I know.
That makes me think of like that Wes Craven movie, People Under the Stairs.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
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 I remember reading the story too about this woman that moved her lover into her house, and he lived in the attic. And the husband had no idea, and he lived there for years. Like the guy never came out. He would
Goals.
come out and like eat, or she would take up food to him and stuff. Yeah, and he eventually
And he like voluntarily did that.
Yeah, he did. And then he
Loved her.
The husband ended up getting murdered, and because they had no idea this man was living in the attic, nobody was convicted for the crime, and it was really like just a strange story.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, but they eventually broke up, and then she married someone else, and I think that he came back into the picture at some point, and that's how he eventually ended up.
Because he like moved back
confessing.
into the attic, or what?
I don't think that he moved back in with her, but maybe they had a relationship, and the new husband discovered it. I'm probably like totally getting the story wrong at this point, but I remember the beginning really well. But then, they ended up he confessed or told somebody about it, so then they knew that he did it. Just so weird.
It's so bizarre.
I mean, it'd be kind of nice because you wouldn't have to work. But
Can we
you
just,
couldn't
like-
ever leave. That's the worst part.
Can we just like now forever refer to people that like secretly live in people's homes as like the shower posse?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What about like the bat in your basement? Is that the shower posse?
No, that's a welcome
Animals
guest.
count?
I like that.
I do too.
think
Plus,
they're
it's
kinda
like
cute.
if they can get in, like it's pointless to capture them and like
I
take them
know.
out because it's like they're gonna come right back. So Octavius and
want
his
to-
family are welcome in my home.
Oh, I like that name.
I know. It's like I feel like bats deserve goth kid names.
They do.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's like
Yeah.
definitely like I've been trying to think of other ones like Balthazar's in there too, and it's fine.
What about
but like
Barnaby?
Yeah, or like Barnabas.
Barnabas, is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, because that makes me think of
Dark Shadows. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of too.
The greatest show.
I had never really heard that name before, but my first roommate that was her ex husband's name.
Oh, his
Yeah.
name is Barnabas.
I know.
That's hilarious.
I'm like that's so great. Totally random.
I had come across some of the. Oh God, I can't remember. I think this guy's name was Septimus. I work on loans, so I see like all kinds of weird names.
Yeah, well, and like, what was Bob Marley's original name? Because like his name's like he switched his first and middle name.
They couldn't prove it because I couldn't find anything that said for sure that they thought his name could have been Nesta Robert instead of Robert Nesta.
Right. It kind of sounds like Lunesta.
Yeah, they said that, which I thought it was kind of a weak story on why it was changed. They said when he went to get a passport that they thought it sounded girly.
Oh, that's what I like,
weird.
or like that he thought it sounded girly, so he'd rather go by Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, which Nesta, either way, I
Sounds
think it
pretty
would be
like
cool.
It's always
genderless.
unfortunate.
Yeah,
Like,
it
it doesn't
does.
even sound like a name. It just sounds
It's
like
always
some kind of
unfortunate, like
object.
when these people are like dead, because it's like I have so many questions.
I know.
Like,
Then when a lot of people surrounding the case,
Yeah.
you know, or that knew any information are dead also.
right?
So,
It's fascinating.
yeah.
Well,
One
that's
thing
our-
also, I do want to mention that Jamaican accents are tied with Irish for my favorite accents because they're so like sing-songy. It was fun watching some of the documentaries about him because I just loved hearing them talk.
Yes. Like the way that they shorten words are like
Yeah.
kind of like slang, but not like 'cause it's just how they talk.
Yeah,
It's fun.
I thought so too.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
that's our thoughts on Bob Marley. I'm gonna go ahead and say I do not think the CIA assassinated
Gave him
him.
cancer.
I don't.
I think that they, with the shooting, I think that, you know, probably.
Well, like the
had
world will
major
never
involvement
know.
there.
Like that's
I know.
unsolved. Like they have not pinned down who shot him.
Yeah,
like
That's
that is
insane.
That is an open story, and they're like the fact that like they have like 5 possibilities.
Yeah.
Of like who could have done it is. The world will never know.
Yeah, and I'm not buying the shoe thing. Like,
No,
No,
I don't
hell
either.
no.
like,
No.
what are the chances that it would just perfectly like, you know, and there's such a rare chance of that happening. And
Well, and like the article that like said all that was like kind of hilarious. It's like, yep, he got pricked with the thing in his shoe, and that's it. I knew it was a death sentence. It's like, bitch. First of all,
Right.
still like even if somebody were to do that to somebody, like the possibility of them actually getting cancer from it is like such a minimum, like just so
Yeah.
small, like 1 in a million that it would actually take. So there's just no way.
Yeah. Agreed.
yeah.
Until other scientific research proves that statement wrong, I'm sticking with it.
Oh, so I want to mention what we're going to be talking about next time because I'm really excited for it. Our our friend Bart pointed us in the direction of a very poorly designed website that kind of that outlines the work of the Smiths and Morrissey predicting Princess Diana's death.
Yes.
So I'm going to go scope that GeoCities disaster out and report back with my findings. I'm really excited.
Me too.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks for listening.
I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot no deputy.